Hi there. Welcome to our today's class. My name is Rafael Bonatto, and I'll be with you during this short period of time. The goal of today's presentation, more than a class, is to present myself and present what I've been doing since I started to work with the Professor Marcelo Bonatto on my postdoctoral degree research. So, as you can see, I'm Rafael Araújo Bonatto, and I'm Brazilian, based in Paraná, and I'm very happy to share with you some of my findings, pre-findings, and the things that I have done, not just regarding my postdoctoral research, but regarding my career. So I'm gonna be walking through this 11 pages presentation, which is a short one, and I'm happy that you taking your time to watch. So on our next class, we'll have a time to discuss, if you like it, and explore each of the subjects that I'm presenting and I have presented here. Okay, so let's enjoy this walkthrough. So the research context, first, the research title of my work, it's all about communications for sustainable crop and livestock production. We can understand it as communication for agriculture, sustainable agriculture production. And the research context, I have divided in two different bullet points, so you can have a look and read through. But the first point that I have written down and I'm sharing with you is related to the research that aims to understand how to make the communication of scientific knowledge related to sustainable agriculture and livestock, crops and livestock production, more assertive and accessible. And I tell you why I have defined that as the first research on the page of the research context, something that attracted my attention and been attracting my attention since I started my work back in 18 years ago, since I started as a field technician, working in different regions of Brazil, in different countries, etc. And I have noticed that there was and there is a huge gap between what we are developing within universities and what is actually being implemented at farm level. When I share that with you, I try to avoid mixing up the knowledge created by the public institutions and the knowledge created by companies. Okay, here I'm tackling more the subject of creating knowledge for free consent, freely available information for all typology of farmers. Smallholder farmers, medium-sized farmers, and big land tenants. So if I divide that, I have two different scenarios. The first one is companies that invest on researching and they launch their product into the market, so they are able to make this bridge. But I'm not talking about this type of thing. I'm talking about more about, as I mentioned, freely available knowledge. And that's why over those years that I've been working in different areas, different countries, etc., I haven't noticed the huge gap, this huge distance between what we are researching, what we are implementing, the findings we know, and what they're doing currently. And that's why I have put this as the first bullet point on the research context. And the second, which has a lot to do with the first, is the goal to connect science produced at universities, I have mentioned previously, with different audiences in the agricultural sectors and broader society. Here I extrapolate the first paragraph. The first paragraph I talk more about farmers receiving knowledge or maybe co-creating knowledge with universities and institutions, research institutions. And the second one has a lot to do with socializing, make it viable and accessible to the broader society about what we are doing within the universities and what are the state of art of the science, okay? Example, we do have practices and technologies and innovations that we have launched in Brazil 5-10 years ago, and these things population are not aware about the positive results and the evidence of it. And that's why I have put as a second bullet point and very important to me as a researcher and as a practitioner. okay? The central theme of my work goes to communication for sustainable crop and livestock production, and how communicate sustainably, knowledge clearly, accessibly, and effectively, okay? Define and understand what sustainability when it's applied to livestock production and crop and agriculture production. Make it clear and understandable regarding each of the audiences you're working with, as I said, and make it more efficient, okay? To define, I have to understand the challenges. I have named here as a current challenge. I can, again, just go over it. It's not just current, it's a past and maybe in the near future. So our main goal as a researcher and practitioner is to set the basis for the change, not guarantee the change, but work so it can happen. And this is one of the cases, the current and the past, and probably the future challenge. Many scientific and technological advances do not effectively reach farmers, technicians, and decision makers. Let me explore this sentence, beginning with farmers. There is an institution, a global institution called GFRAS. GFRAS is the Global Forum for Rural and Advisory Services. I'm going to be touching bases regarding this forum with you on our meeting, so our live meeting, so I can explore more this. But the global forum called the GFRAS is a forum comprised of a different network of rural extension professionals located in all the areas, all the parts of the world. Just for you to have an idea, in South America and the Caribbean, we do have what is called RELACER, which is the Latin American Network for Rural Advisory Services, which is part of the group, GFRAS. There is another one in Africa, another one in North America, another one in the Pacific, another one in the Sub-Saharan Africa, and etc. So they represent all the areas in the world. Following up and sharing with you actually some of the findings of this group, and which is totally related to the first bullet point of this current challenge, at the end of the day, we come to a number that is less than 25% of the farmers in the world, they have access to public advisory services or public rural extension, meaning that they don't receive any visits from universities, any visits from the government agencies, any visits from anyone. Just sometimes they receive a visit from companies. I'm gonna underline here again, I'm not against companies. I'm just here to talk about the public good. So the companies, they do their best and understand they have their role on everything on this amazing scenario, but we are talking about, as I said before, freely available information. So in this scenario, 20 to 25% of the farmers, less than that, sometimes like in Sub-Saharan Africa, less than 7% of the farms, they receive rural assistance. In Brazil, that goes around 25 to 27%, depends where you are in Brazil. Colombia can be higher, can be over 40%. Peru can be less than 15%. So this is the main bottleneck of this, and that's why I have named here and pointed as the current challenge. And the second one is all related to the essential. It's essential to understand how to translate and transfer this knowledge into practical messages, okay? Not just for farmers, but for technicians who will be extensioning such knowledge to the farmers, but before those guys, the decision makers, the guys who decide the things, who decide the budget, who decide the programs and the projects. And this is one of the challenge, transfer and transform those technical messages into something more practical, okay? That's why I have named it as a current. And coming up on the presentation, I want to share with you now a more specific objectives of my work, which are divided in three. Identify effective pathways for communicating sustainably, the sustainable practices, how to pave this way to reach my audience on a proper way, on an effective way. The second objective is a subsidized, depoliticized understanding of sustainable agriculture. In countries like Brazil, like any emerging country, we understand, we notice, we know that sometimes farmers are used as mass of maneuver, political maneuver, or political, the cohort of farmers that can be used to vote on this party or on that party. My goal, my objective here is to subsidize an understanding of what is sustainable agriculture, sustainable crop and livestock production, sustainable food production, depoliticized. So apart from the political parties or political views. Okay, so this will surely contribute a lot with the discussion and make it clear, put this or that knowledge under a belt of any political party which can benefit and, prejudice the other parties. So the idea is the knowledge and it must be freely available and it has not sides, left, central or right wing, doesn't matter. Okay, so, and the third objective is to foster knowledge transfer between universities, the field, and society. Build this bridge that goes at different ways, that subsidize the little farm that has 2 hectares in land, but helps a farm that has more than 100 hectares, but at the same time, help the practitioners and help the society itself. Example, a household that goes to the supermarket, a woman that goes to the supermarket, a man to buy, and they understand the product they are buying, the story behind it, and sustainability behind it. At the end of the day, everyone will benefit from that, from society to producers, okay? The topics that I think will be covered, these are my hypotheses. So to be covered during my research is understanding on how the population, how society divided into the audience, how they do understand integrated land management, how they do understand conservation practices such as soil conservation or conservation agriculture in brackets here, how we do understand animal welfare and under agroecological systems. And there is an example called Cicopa, which has been launched by Professor Bonatto, which is very interesting and very impactful positively. So we need people to know more about the system, more about the other system that contribute positively to our development. So the fourth point is the soil and livestock nutrition, soil nutrition through precision agriculture and livestock nutrition through precision livestock production, and the importance and the benefits of the integration of crop and livestock systems. These will be the topics that will be covered, that I've been covering and I'll keep covering during my postdoctoral degree, okay? The methodologies that I'll be using, I will just touch bases here, and during our face-to-face presentation, probably will be the next couple of weeks, I'll be presenting each of those methodologies, but just for you to have an idea what type of methodologies I'll be using to accomplish what I am aimed to. It does combine my professional experience with some participatory approaches. Named 3 of them: critical discourse analysis, participant observation, and integrative literature review. And I have put this paragraph here, which helps us a lot understanding. These methods aim to understand how scientific information can be transformed into effective communications. So remind me that during our presentation, I want to have a specific time to explore the methodologies. But for you to know, the CDA, which is the critical discourse analysis, goes all about understanding the actors that play an important role on the agriculture, livestock sector. Example, someone from a political party, someone from a farmers union, a farmers association, a farm itself, a consumer at the end of the chain consumer, and having this critical discourse analysis to understand their point of view, understand what the gaps are. Okay, so this is just a quick explanation of critical discourse analysis. The second methodology will be the participant observation, which I'm taking part of groups of producers, groups of decision makers, and as a listener, as a hearer, I point down and understand, observe and understand what's going on and how they are interpreting and looking at the theme, so I can action improve. And the very last one, the integrative literature review, which goes all about the document review, but has something different between the literature review itself, okay? It's an integrative, it has a different touch, which enriches more the discussion, okay? What are the expected impacts of my work? They all lie to improve scientific knowledge creation and transfer, and slash lending. I put a slash here in purpose because transfer something comprises the understanding that you have created yourself and just taking from point A to B. I'm not meaning that. I'm meaning a co-creation of something that we can understand and co-create with farmers what they really need and make it land on the ground, adequate with the right adequation to the real ground, on the ground, boot on the ground realities, okay? So understanding the scientific knowledge creation and transfer and lending. The second one, encourages sustainable practice in the field. All typologies here, when I mean all typologies here, I mean smallholders, medium-sized and big land tenants. So not just for smallholders, not just for the medium, for big, for all of them. Encourage sustainable practices. How do I'm expecting having that? By sharing information, which I'll be talking about with you how I'll have a plan, and I'll be been doing this for this year, and I'm planning to do the next year. And the very last one, foster effective communication between academia and society. When I mean society, I mean the end of the chain consumer, but mean the practitioners, I'm meaning the decision makers, politicians, and etc. Foster effective communication through the channels of communication we do have at the university, okay? And the conclusion is that this postdoctoral research aims to build bridges between science, practice, and society. I have lived 12 years abroad and been working for 19 years abroad, nearly 19 years in different continents and consequently in different countries. And I have seen a bit of what I have just put as conclusion, and I'm very confident to tell you that this bridge must be built urgently, because we see sometimes, and many times, specifically in Latin American countries, universities, they are very far from society. So let's build the bridge. Let's help. Let's subsidize it. Okay, and secondly, strengthening communication between universities and farmers is essential for truly sustainable agriculture and livestock production. We can help with competitiveness, but if you don't do that with the right knowledge, probably sustainably, it will not work, okay? So sharing with you some of my contact, remembering that I'll be sharing with you this presentation, which has some of the references I haven't mentioned on the text. It's just hidden on the line. So this is my full name and my email and my profile on LinkedIn. So don't be ashamed, just drop me a message. I'll be happy to share with you. So sorry if I sped too much during my speech. I really hope you enjoyed this short presentation, and let's catch up on our class. Have a nice day and enjoy the course, enjoy the studies. Thank you. Thank you once again.